We're gonna get into terminology of front side, back lips, and all this like crazy terminology that we have for rails. I'm gonna break it down as simple as possible. So let's get into it. The first one we're gonna address is a simple board slide. But is it a front side board slide or is it a back board? I don't know. Actually, I do know, and that's why we're here. All right, so let's keep it going. With this said, notice that I am approaching with my back towards the rail. So this side of my back and the rail is on this side. So we would call that backside board slide, okay? This backside board slide, that's the biggest thing you got to remember is which side am I facing when I'm getting onto the rail. So if I'm on this side, then the front side of my body is facing the rail. If I'm on this side, then the back side of my body is facing the rail. So again, this right here is a backside board slide. Like I just said, front side is when the front side of my body is facing the rail first. So as I'm coming in from the front side approach. Now, check this out. I go front side and now I'm going into a front side board slide. This is so confusing for people because you're like, well, I'm going front side, but I'm going backwards down the rail. It's because I entered from my toes, from the front side of the rail is why it's called a front board. It's actually pretty sick once like that clicks with your mind. You're like, oh, okay, so front board on the front side. Pretty nice, pretty nice. So we got front side board slide. Okay, so we have back board, front board. Okay, so now we're going to be talking about a front lip versus back lip. Essentially, we're going to use the same principle that we just learned in the last two examples and apply it to this. So, what do you guys think? I am on the front side of my body is facing the rail, so I'm coming in from the front side. Now I'm going to do a lip slide. And you may be asking right now, what is a lip slide? So a lip slide essentially is when your back foot travels over the feature, and this is what I mean. So my back foot went from this side, now it's gone up and over, and then now it's on the far side of the rail. Notice that I'm balancing on the front foot right there. So this is a front side lip slide, okay, or we just call it front lip. The front lip, we call it front side lip because we come from the front side and then we happen to do a lip slide again where our back foot travels over the rail. And then we slide this bad boy and then we pop out and we have a good time. The next example is going to be backside lip slide or back lip. With back lip, we're going to just use the same principle as we're entering this rail to help us describe everything, okay? So we are doing a backside. Notice that my backside is facing the rail. My backside is facing the rail. And then we're going to do that lip slide. So that means my back foot has to travel over the rail. So notice it travels over the rail. I'm landing on my front foot again. But I happen to be doing this whole sequence. Instead of from this side, I'm doing it from this side. So this this rail right here is called a back lip. Essentially, I'm going from the backside, getting my back foot to go over the rail, and then I'm gonna slide this bad boy. Boom. All right, does that make sense? So we got a front side board slide coming in from the front side. We got a backside board slide coming in from the back side. We got a front lip going up and over on the front side, back lip from the back side. Now we have this other thing called a blunt. So for this example, this is going to be called a front blunt. Same principle applies. This makes it so much easier when you just understand which side you're approaching from. So I'm coming in from the front side into this rail. Now I'm going front side blunt. A blunt is very different than a lip slide based on which foot is going up and over the rail. Okay, so this time we're actually taking our lead binding or our lead foot going over the rail and then balancing on our back foot. It's the exact opposite of what we just learned. And this is why it's called the blunt slide. So again, for this example, we're going front side, blunt, which means that this foot has gone over and this foot's going to be balancing on the rail. And then now here I am in this position and I'm going to do a 270 out. So here we got front side, blunt. Again, the biggest thing is our front foot going over the rail or is our back foot going over the rail? That is going to determine whether it's a lip slide or a blunt. Okay, moving on. So we just did front side blunt. Now let's do the opposite. Just to help us really understand this is now we're going to go backside blunt. So what we've learned before is we're coming in on our back side. So I'm on my heel side, going into the rail. Then my lead foot in this, sorry about this angle, but this lead foot is actually going up and over. So this foot is on that side of the rail, and I'm balancing all on this back foot, and then I happen to do kind of a crazy little move out of that, okay? But it all comes down to, this is a backside blunt because I come in from the backside and then I hit the rail and my front foot is going up and over. I'm gonna quiz you guys on this just to make it that much more fun because this stuff gets pretty confusing, right? So I'm gonna do a little quiz or something. We'll see. We'll see. Check down below. We'll see. So we've already talked about backboard and front board, back lip and front blunt and back blunt, and that all stemmed from which side of the rail we come in on. I'm gonna have to throw us for a little bit of a wrench, and we're gonna make this slightly more complicated, but only a little bit. When we are actually spinning onto a rail, we're gonna address what the spin is. So if I were to do a 270 onto this rail and I'm spinning the front side direction, I'm gonna call this a front side 270. And now if we're doing this off of a jump, essentially I'm gonna have to be on my heels and I'm gonna do that spin. Essentially the same thing applies here. I'm on my heel side going into this trick and I'm coming in from the back side, but disregard that because we're spinning onto a feature. We're just gonna call it what it is, and it's gonna be a front side 270. Okay, so now we're gonna be discussing a term called urban on or side approach. Essentially, what we need to do is be able to get on the rail from the side. And you'll notice here that the jump is about, a couple inches high and the rail is actually sticking out above it. If you have a very strong ollie, you could go straight, ollie, and jump straight onto this thing. But a lot of people don't have a strong ollie, or it's just not as fun sometimes. Now, we could do something called the urban on or the side approach. We are gonna come in from the side and we're gonna actually hop on the rail right here. And I'll show you the example. Notice that I am not coming in directly on top of the feature. I'm actually coming in from the side. And now with the side here, it allows me to get on the rail. Now it's just a normal 50-50. I have a lot of options from here. I could just ride straight through. I could hop and do a 180. I could try to go board side and do a spin out. There's so many options here, but the cool thing is I have to approach it from the side. So with urban on, there's so many park features that are designed this way. It is a little bit more challenging. Of course, you can learn how to do it, but this also opens up a lot of those rails that you may not have been able to touch before because you do have to come in from the side. So urban on is another term that you guys need to know. Alrighty, so we're gonna make this a little bit more complicated. I wanted to make sure that you guys had all the information possible and the right terminology, just so that you guys are being accurate as possible. Another thing that does kind of go against that main thought process of, is your front going against the rail or is your back going against the rail? So what we're gonna dive into now is called the hard way. So essentially when we have a frontside 360, the normal way for us to do a frontside 360 is going to be off of our heels. Now, the counterintuitive way would be going off of our toes. So in the industry, we call that hard way because we're going against the grain. We're actually making it harder than it needs to be. Okay, so we're here on my Instagram, and normally we'd be calling this some kind of frontside variation of whatever we're doing because we're on the front side. But as I just alluded to a minute ago, this is called hard way. So essentially, I'm coming in from this direction and I'm rotating towards the rail, but then I'm going against my momentum, against the normal direction, and then getting on the rail. So let me just break it down in this video for us. So I'm spinning front side off of my toes, and then I'm happen to land on the rail, and then I'm gonna do a backside, actually like a switchback 3 out. But this is called hard way. I am going against the normal and intuitive direction. All right, so we have that front side hard way. Another example is if we're coming in on our heels and we happen to go backside, that would be like backside hard way. So wanted to just make sure that you guys have all that terminology out there for you. Okay, so that's pretty complicated in its own. I hope I've simplified that a lot. We do have front side, board side, and back board, front blunt and back blunt, and we also have front lip and back lip. So I hope I was able to simplify that and it makes sense. And this is just really nice to be able to have this information so when we're posting on social media that we say it accurately. Awesome, guys. So I hope that helped. Let's keep it moving.